A white-haired man stands in a small washroom as he stares at the mirror where another man appears with the same face but a different presence. The man outside the mirror tries to steady himself while the reflection calmly states the name Lee Hoyol. The man in front answers with a long name Granfell Claudius Romeo, and the reflection thinks that he is in real trouble. Later, Granfell sits at a dining table with a cup of coffee as he sorts out his thoughts. He realizes he has become a character he made 12 years ago when he was in his second year of middle school. He remembers how that character came from his peak daydreaming stage. This absurd situation exists because of the game he once played. The game was called History of the Archana Continent, and it became one of the greatest virtual reality titles ever made. It stayed on top until the service ended, and it earned a place as a legend. On the final day of the game's service, the head of the company that made it disappeared. The company was Cosmo, and it created the popular title History of the Archana Continent. When the news of the missing creator spread, the world changed as the world of Archana appeared in reality. Cracks formed in the world and beings from the game crossed over. Many believed the world would fall apart. People soon realized they were merging with their game characters. Those merged people became known as players. They used skills from the game and pushed back the dangers that appeared. They became heroes for the world. Hoyol once wished he could be like them. Later, he understood that even if he awakened his ability, he would never become famous. The cost of a virtual reality login device was too high, and even renting one cost a large sum, which was impossible after his family business collapsed. His dream faded, and he quit the game early. He regrets that choice now because he never even reached one full year of progress, so his level and stats remain low. He finally awakened his ability, yet he appeared in the form of the dramatic character he made 10 years ago. The thought drives him close to panic. Granfell Claudius Romeo stands tall with long white hair as the creation of a younger Hoyol who took the character far too seriously. The story behind the character was simple. Granfell came from a great family, yet lost them to a dark force, and began a long path to hunt that force. It was a dramatic and heavy concept he made as a young teen. It was a second persona he thought he owned in middle school, and it became a source of old shame. What once felt cool now makes him want to hide as the memory turns into endless embarrassment. Archana sits in his room as a faint breath leaves his lips, and he thinks that he missed these memories. Hoyol tries to push him back in his mind as he tells himself to stay quiet and stop speaking in that odd manner. He worries about work because he wonders how he can function as a normal person with the way his words spill out. He believes he will ruin everything if he talks like this outside. Archana speaks in a firm tone as he claims that noble people do not bend in front of hardship. Hoyol nearly breaks down as he realizes that every word from his mouth comes out in a grand style he cannot control. He wonders if this is what it feels like to merge with a game character. Many people said the change was small, yet his voice and tone are nothing like before. He knows he cannot work in any job while speaking like this. He tells himself that he has no choice but to work as a player, even though he barely remembers anything about Archana except the old memories from 10 years ago. He opens his laptop while Archana takes charge of his hands. He decides to search for basic knowledge because he knows nothing about what a player needs. He reads that top players earn huge sums when they clear high-level events. He also sees that the reward comes with real danger, which makes the information feel pointless to him. His own life matters more than any amount of money. Archana declares in a proud tone that Granfell Claudius Romeo has no need for simple wealth because he once lived in great comfort. Hoyol repeats the line in his head and tries to accept it. He tells himself that he has no reason to chase riches and that he should check what demon hunters even do now. He opens a page and finds only 2 sections about the role. He wonders if demon hunters do almost nothing because the only sources left are 2 short wiki pages and scattered news clips. One article states that the Akshan base has fallen and that every figure in the town was lost. Hoyol grips the desk as he reads that Akshan was once the only town tied to demon hunters and served as their home, and he struggles to accept that the place is gone. He realizes the role did not fade because people ignored it, but because the entire role was removed from the world. He thinks back to the old game and remembers that demon hunters did very little even 10 years ago. They had low growth, and the path to build them was unclear. Their skills were weak, and the only steady way to grow was through constant tasks that took time and effort. Still, they were the best at facing demons. Demons appeared only in their tasks, and many of these tasks were known for heavy grinding, which turned players away. This made demon hunters feel pointless, and many viewed them as a useless class. Hoyol knows that being useless and being unable to advance are not the same thing. The situation now feels worse because all the teachers for their skills are gone. He scrolls through the last page and wonders if there is any more information he can use. Hoyle scrolls down the page and stops when he sees a line that states, "New demons have been added in the latest update." His breath catches as he reads the title that shows The History of Archana, version 1.1, with the reality update complete. A heavy chill runs through him as the article explains that demons are now mixed with the usual creatures and that player losses have risen because demons bring harsh effects that break focus or take control. Even players at level 200 struggle with them in real battles. He leans back as the truth sinks in. Demons have appeared in the real world and no one seems to have handled them. He wonders if this happened because no demon hunters remain after the fall of Akshan. The thought pushes him to think that he might be the only one left. If that is true, he wonders if he should step forward even though he carries a 10-year gap in knowledge. He knows that the demons he remembered may not match the demons that exist now because 10 years is long enough for the world to shift. If top players are having trouble, he wonders what he can even do. Arpius rises in his mind with a sharp tone as he calls Hoyol weak. He states that Granfell Cloudy Romeo never runs from simple demons because pride stands above fear. He claims that no lure or whisper from a demon can touch his high spirit. Hoyol swallows his doubts as the words echo inside him and he pushes himself to accept the path ahead. He tells himself that he must try. Arpius stands up from the chair with a calm yet steady posture as he speaks in a slow breath. He thinks that his earlier doubt was pointless because there was never a reason to hesitate. He declares that the enemy should feel honored because he will send them back to their place. Several years pass after the Great Shift and many places break apart, yet people slowly rise again. Life returns to the streets as the world adapts to its new shape. Hope grows again, yet shadows remain, because strong worry in people feeds unseen forces that linger around them. A small party waits outside a bright field. One member comments that the final person is running late. The leader, Nam Chomin, checks the time and tells the group to wait a bit longer. Arpius then walks toward them with calm steps. Chomin smiles and says that he has arrived at the exact time and introduces himself as the party leader. Arpius greets him with steady form. Arpius glances ahead and sees a soft purple glow where people enter. He recognizes it as a rupture and sees how players view it. He notes that regular people walk past without being affected and thinks that he would be one of them if he had not awakened. He focuses and brings up the status window for the site called Knoll's Underground Storage, which is suited for levels 35 to 40 and has a growing danger rate. He reads that the place fits those levels and thinks it is decent for someone at level 55. He checked the average level of players who normally enter and found that most of them are around 200, which feels far beyond him. He knows he needs steady steps to grow. He's glad that new players also awaken at lower levels, so he found a party close to his own skill range. The others introduce themselves with bright energy. Han Sang-wook is a close-range tank. Choi Jung-won is a close-range striker. Jung Yun is a magic user and greets him with a warm smile. Chomin explains that another party likely went in first since the danger rate has risen. He tells everyone to prepare because they will enter in 5 minutes. Arpius stands in silence while the danger rate reaches 19.8. He recalls that once the rate hits full, the rupture breaks and creatures spill into the world, which is why players are allowed to enter freely. Only players can get close to the unstable field. When the time arrives, Chomin calls everyone to move, and the group agrees with eager voices. In the quiet shadow behind Arpius, Hoyol watches and thinks about how friendly everyone seems. He believes he should speak as a proper party member too. He remembers growing up with 3 older sisters, which taught him how to read the room and follow any mood with ease. As the group gathers near the entrance, Arpius suddenly steps forward and tells them they do not need to worry because he is here. In the quiet space behind his voice, Hoyol curses himself because the line sounded like a boast from a king. The others simply move on and ignore the dramatic tone. Chomin clears his throat and asks if everyone knows what kind of creature a knoll is. Jung-yeon answers with quick confidence and claims she has fought some before. The group stays focused and says it will be an easy clear if they keep their guard up. Hoyol tells himself to stay silent from now on. A notice appears as they step inside Knoll's underground storage. They walk into a ruined metro hall with cold lights and dark stains across the floor. Jung-yeon looks around and says she does not see any Knolls, even though the place carries their name. Chomin explains that another party must have come before them and says they only need to choose the right path to find enough targets. Jung-yeon trusts his words and nods. Cheomin then shouts for everyone to get ready to hunt, and the group cheers while Arpias stands behind them with quiet restraint. He watches the tunnels and feels that something does not match the usual pattern. Later, the group spots creatures ahead. Cheomin calls out the distance and tells everyone to prepare. They rush forward with firm steps. Arpias watches their positions and thinks that their setup is normal, with 1 tank, 2 melee fighters, and 1 magic user. He notices that the tank pulls the creatures instead of protecting the others. He also sees that the close-range fighter absorbs most of the hits, while the mage deals most of the damage. He wonders if this is the common way now, and decides that is not his issue since he brings little to the team. Jongyun announces that her stamina boost will return soon. Jongwon calls out to slow down. Arpias thinks that none of that matters because his real issue lies elsewhere. He opens his inventory and sees his few weak items lined up. He knows he has no real weapon and decides he should fight as little as he can until he finds something better. At that moment, a rain of arrows shoots out from behind a pillar. The group is struck and chaos rises. Someone shouts that it is an ambush. Songwook tries to block the arrows, but the number is far too high, and he says he cannot keep up. Jungwon takes a hit and staggers with a harsh breath. Cheolmin stands far above them on the stairs and watches from a distance. Jungwon calls for him and pleads for help. Chomin stares down and demands to know what they are doing as the pressure of the ambush grows heavier. A creature suddenly rushes toward Jungwon with a raised blade. Before it reaches him, an arrow flies in from the side and drops the creature on the spot. Arpias lowers his bow and states that the wild beast still acts without control, and that firm action is needed at times, even if it does not suit him. Jung Hun thanks him while wondering about the strange way he speaks. Arpias thinks that he dislikes speaking like this as well. The rest of the group struggles as more creatures move in. Jung-yeon trembles because she does not know what to do. Arpias tells her to calm down and says he will stop the ones that come close. He tells her to use her strongest spell even if the cast time is long. He fires arrows with steady hands while she prepares her magic. Jung-hoon shouts and asks how much longer she needs. Jung-seon answers that she is almost done. A moment later, she completes her spell and announces its release. She unleashes a fire arrow spell from a glowing circle and sends a wave of flames toward the creatures. She checks on Arpeus and asks if he is fine. Arpeus says he is unharmed and tells her to watch the others. He then walks toward the fallen creature and thinks that he should pick up his arrow again. Jung-yeon hands Sungwook a healing potion and tells him to drink it before more creatures appear. Sungwook thanks her as he catches his breath. Jung-hoon turns to Nam Chomin and demands to know what he is doing. He says he might understand missing the hidden creatures, but he cannot understand why Chomin did not help at all. He accuses him of letting them walk into danger and questions his role as a tank. Nam Chomin suddenly starts to laugh on the stairs above them. Jung-hoon looks stunned and asks if he finds this situation amusing. He tells him he is not special and that he would be nothing without support from others. Before he can finish his words, the lingering fire in the hall fades. Nam Chomin asks if Jung-hoon wondered whether this was funny. He claims it is very funny to him and says it is a joy to watch a group struggle in front of him. His laughter echoes across the hall. A message flashes before Arpius as a skill called Natural Enemy activates and boosts his strength when facing a creature of his kind. Arpeus steps forward and states that Chomin is a creature from the other side. Chomin grins and says it took them long enough to notice. Jung-yeon stares at Arpeus in shock as she struggles to understand his claim. Sungwook shakes his head and says he cannot believe it because he cannot accept the idea that Chomin could be something inhuman. Before he finishes speaking, a dark haze wraps around him and he falls into a sudden illusion. In the vision, he sees his teammates trapped by twisting shadows while they reach out and beg for help. A warning appears that a creature is watching him and that his mind strength is too low. It states that he is overwhelmed by fear. Chomin watches him shake and comments that humans tremble before the visions they form in their own minds. He smiles as if amused, suddenly strikes with a dagger, yet Chomin blocks the hit with his hand. Chomin asks if Arpius cares about the trapped human and says that the moment he falls, the human will fall with him. Arpius studies the armor and notes that he cannot pierce it directly, so he should aim for the gaps. Chomin lunges forward and asks if he still plans to attack, even with a risk to another life. Arpius dodges and his skill flares again as his strength rises sharply. He steps in and drives his blade into the side of the neck guard, which cracks under the force. Chomin swings back and shouts that humans are full of mixed feelings. He says they acted friendly with him moments ago and now turn against him without hesitation. Arpeus moves faster than his foe can see and cuts a deep line from the eye to the cheek. Cholman roars and tries to understand how he was struck so quickly. He panics when he notices the shine of silver on the blade. This raises his weapon and tells him not to speak because he does not talk to prey. Cholman falls back into his own thoughts and wonders where everything went wrong. He says he only wished to live with pride and to be someone his younger brother could look up to. A deeper voice rises inside him and tells him it will take over. His body grows tense as the presence settles into him. A warning appears that a creature named Imp is now watching, and that Cholman's mind strength is too low to resist. The presence takes full control and sends him charging moves in a blur and cuts through the attack with precise force. Cholman screams that the pain is unbearable and begs Arpeus to stop. He says that harming him will harm the human too, and asks if Arpeus cares at all about the real person behind the body. He accuses him of wanting to become someone who harms others without mercy. Arpeus answers that he understands and asks if that is the pride the creature holds. Cholman does not follow the words, and Arpeus strikes again with a clean motion. Arpeus then states that he has accepted that pride from Nam Cholman. Time passes in silence until Cholman wakes up on the floor of the same station. He sits up in shock and wonders aloud how he is still alive because he remembers the moment he lost control. The others rush toward him and ask if he is all right. Cholman touches his chest in confusion as he wonders how he survived despite the wound he remembers receiving. Arpeus steps forward with steady posture and tells the shaken party that they do not need to worry because he is here. He explains that the heavy feelings inside people give strength to creatures like the one they faced, and he tells them to hold their pride and keep fear away. In the shadow of his thoughts, Hoyol reminds himself that the skill of a hunter affects only the creature itself, and that he never forgot that rule even after so many years. Arpeus checks the scene again and thinks that the creature left nothing behind and that it was a weak imp with no reward. Later, Cholman stands outside the station and speaks with his older brother Taemin over the phone. He shows him the written summary of the event, which he posted online. The report says that the raid nearly turned into a disaster because a party member was taken over by an imp. It says the entire party seemed doomed until a strong person defeated the creature. Cholman says he cried while thanking that person. Under the post, 2 comments mock him and claim he is making things up. They say an imp cannot appear in a null field, and they laugh at the fact that he did not even write the helper's name. Taemin reads the post with a tired look. He is a high-ranked player and the head of a guild, and he tells Cholman that he cannot invite someone into the guild based only on a story like this. He says the whole thing sounds unbelievable. Cholman answers that the party leader who was taken over was himself. Taemin chokes on his drink the moment he hears that and stares at his brother in shock. Later, Taemin speaks with clear confusion as he asks why Cholman suddenly wants to quit being a player and join Gon as an analyst. He reminds him that he used to reject the idea strongly and says the shift is so sudden that it is hard to understand. Cholman asks if it is really that hard to trust his own brother and says he is grateful. Taemin tells him not to act playful. Cholman laughs and says he was only joking about the tone. Taemin then asks if he is joking about becoming an analyst as well. Cholman answers that he is serious because he has seen his own weakness and found what his real role should be. He admits that he spent years forcing himself to keep up with Taemin and now wants to follow his own path with pride. Taemin sits back as interest grows in his voice. He wonders what kind of person could change Cholman this much. He says that if the strange attacker was not affected by the harmful effect, then his mind strength must be incredibly high. Taemin mentions that Cholman said the man fought with a dagger rather than magic, and that there are many classes in Archana, but none match that description perfectly. He also wonders why someone with strong skill would enter such a low rupture. Cholman says it makes sense that Taemin finds the story hard to believe, but begs him to trust him this once. Taemin lifts a brow and says he never claimed he did not trust him. He states that he trusts him completely because he was the one who saw everything. Cholman pauses in surprise. Taemin explains that his success came from strategies that Cholman helped create, and that he owes much of his growth to him. He says he brought a contract because he wants his older brother as Gon's analyst. Cholman blushes slightly and tells him he is embarrassing him, yet thanks him with a shy smile. Taemin laughs and hands him the contract and asks what he thinks of it. Cholman reads the conditions with growing nerves as he tries to take in the weight of the offer. Meanwhile, Arpeus stands in front of a mirror while brushing his teeth. The status window shows that he reached level 67. Hoyle watches the glow of the window and exclaims that it rose by 12 levels and calls it amazing. Archana says it is small. Hoyle argues that the gnolls did not give much value, and slaying one imp raised their level by 12, which is impressive. Archana answers that Granfell does not concern himself with such matters and keeps his calm expression as he rinses the foam from his mouth. Hoyle looks at the leveled window and thinks about how to assign his stat points. He decides to think about it in bed because he feels tired. Archana glances at the bed and comments that it is a mess and says that a clean space builds a calm mind. He begins to tidy the room without pause. Hoyle begs him to rest for once. Later in the afternoon, Archana cooks a simple meal and tastes it with calm approval. Hoyle watches and remembers that this is how Granfell lived, with a steady routine and strong discipline. He realizes that the traits he once wrote for Granfell are now affecting his real life, except for the job and level. He admits that he would normally take a shower and order delivery, yet he is growing healthier because of this new routine. He begins to wonder what other talents Granfell has. He recalls that Granfell is skilled in magic and can copy most spells by watching them once. He remembers Granfell is intelligent and also very fit. He finishes eating and says, "That is about it." Hoyle sighs and says, he wrote every good trait possible. He then decides that if these traits work in real life, he should test them. At that moment, his phone buzzes with a message from Cheolmin. The message says he wants to thank him again and that he learned a lot from him. He says he suggested bringing him into Gaon, which is the top guild in the country. He adds that he will send a contract file and asks him to look through it and contact him if he has questions. He ends the message with a warm wish for the evening. Hoyle stares at the message and thinks he does not know what any of this is about and that he cannot deal with it right now. He decides to reject him for the moment. Then he says it is time to test Granfell's talent and chooses the trait that states he can copy spells after seeing them once. He opens a video on basic magic and starts writing notes as he watches. Meanwhile, Cheolmin and Taemin sit together and look stunned as they see the reply marked as a refusal. Cheolmin wonders if he got an offer from another group. Taemin jumps up and demands to know which one because he cannot believe any group could offer more than Gon, which promised a home, a car, full support, and a generous split. He asks if another guild somehow offered something better. Cheolmin says he is not sure. He mentions that once the Mage Tower appeared in Seoul, foreign groups began opening branches in the city. Taemin shouts and asks which ones dared to enter his area. Cheolmin says even if it is not a foreign group, many strong guilds are based in Seoul, so it could be one of them. Taemin refuses to let it end like this and says no other guild can match Gaon's offer. He adds that the contract is so generous that he cannot even show it to Gaon's higher members. He says he cannot let it go and asks his brother to tell him what the man looks like. Cheolmin blinks and asks why he needs to know. Taemin steps forward with sharp intent and says he will bring that man into their guild before another group takes him. He tells Cheolmin to describe everything he remembers. Cheolmin freezes as he tries to recall the details and only manages a weak sound. Taemin groans and tells him he could describe a mythical creature better than that. Cheolmin repeats the words slowly and then brightens as he remembers something. He says the man looked like an aristocrat from a fantasy novel and adds that he looked very elegant at that. Meanwhile, Archana finishes writing a thick stack of notes as Hoyle watches in awe. Hoyle thinks he can now see the core of magic through the notes and feels certain he could use those skills if he had enough mana. He praises Granfell in his mind and says that his dramatic younger self had created the best kind of talent. Archana replies by calling his thought rude. Hoyle shakes it off and says that now that he is sure he can use magic, he should assign his stat points. He admits he does not know how far Granfell's talents can go, so he should stay open to every path. He places 2 points into stamina and agility. He puts 7 into mana because it is low. Then, a memory of the old character backstory rises in his mind about Granfell being the last of his family. He sighs because he wrote that story long ago and now feels the heavy weight of it. He says he is doing this for both himself and Granfell since they will have to work hard from now on. He raises his luck from 1 to 2 and thinks doubling it might bring a small gift tomorrow, such as finding a coin on the street. A moment later, a new window appears before him. It is far more than a simple coin. It is a class quest notification. The title reads that it is the prologue of a counterattack. If you enjoyed the story so far, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to YumeRecap, and stay tuned for the next video.